I wish that every single day of your life was a bright, sunshiny day, pioneers. I wish I could tell you that there were going to be no storms. But that's not true. That's false hope. There are going to be storms, but every storm, you see, it runs out of rain. And it always rains before we see a rainbow. I wish that I could tell you that the load that you carry will get lighter. But guess what? It only gets heavier. As time passes, the fight's gonna get harder and heavier. That mountain that you're climbing, the peak only gets farther away and higher. The ocean that you've got to swim across will get wider. Trust me when I tell you that you don't want to wait. Indecision is a decision. Remember that. Making no choice is making a choice. A decision to fail. A decision to waste your potential. Time's not gonna wait for you. Time doesn't wait for anyone. The clock is always ticking, tick-tock. There are no timeouts, no breaks. There are no rest in this game of life. Remember something though. If plan A doesn't work, there's still 25 other letters in the alphabet. Can I get a hello? This isn't 3 strikes you're out like baseball. It's the real world, the Matrix. That means there's no limit on how many times you're allowed to try. The only time your dream dies is when you decide to quit. You need to be ready for what's coming, for when the darkness sets in, for when you feel like you can't take another step forward. You better believe in yourself. Keep going, keep grinding, keep persevering and weathering the storm, trusting only in yourself. Scratch that. Trust everyone, but only believe in yourself. You see, a bird doesn't put its belief and trust in a branch. It puts its own belief in its wings. Can I get a hello? Because if the branch breaks of the tree, that bird will still fly, still able to weather any storm the world's throwing at it. See, people want to take the safest path, the one that brings the least reward, the one with the least amount of work. See, they're afraid of what could go wrong. Start believing in what could go right. There may be a million reasons you're afraid to follow your dreams, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't go after what your heart desires. Dare to face your fears, dare to take risk, dare to be better than those around you, smarter than those around you. How bad do you want it? What are you willing to do to sacrifice to get it? Within you is a power far greater than those around you can imagine. Especially when you tap into it. You better believe in yourself way before anyone else does. Believe that your dreams are already coming true. Believe in your potential and the capacity for greatness to come out of you. Never stop, because success isn't about greatness. It's about consistency. Knowing that no one is born great. That no one gets to choose how they start in this life, but they do get to choose what they do. Their actions that speak louder than their words. You see, we all have a choice when it comes to building a future. We just got to show up day after day, working hard, giving our full effort, 1,000% each and every day, pioneers, leaving nothing on the table. That's how greatness and success will manifest. Because we're gonna be faced with difficult situations, times when we don't believe in ourselves and our ability to keep going, to persevere. There will be times when we feel incapable of rising up to the challenges that we face. We're going to be tempted to act in fear, forgetting everything and running because of false evidence appearing real. We're going to be tempted to turn our back and run. Running is never the best option when you're in the middle of a struggle to become the best version of yourself. The only way out of that struggle is walking through it. Rather than running away from obstacles or things that don't set right in your mind in this world, stop trying to figure out some kind of way around them or disrespecting others. Go right through them. Enlighten yourself. Steady your nerves, put your head down, and tackle whatever is bothering you head on. The storm is going to jar you, but I promise if you don't buckle and you don't break, you'll weather that storm. You'll be able to believe in the ability to weather the storm and come out the other side better and showing your strengths. Remember, your weaknesses are where your strengths are developed. And our biggest fears are always a reminder to carry with us so that we can develop personal growth. Our fears and how we face them bring out the best in us. If something doesn't scare us or challenge us, it doesn't change us. In life, we have two choices. We either step forward, expose ourselves to risk and evolve and seek the reward, or we play it safe, stepping back into the shadows and just being complacent with where we are. Your dreams aren't going to come true on their own, so it's time for you to get to work. It's not going to be easy. You can't hit that easy button. Great things don't get dropped in your lap. They don't start from a comfort zone. If you want to be something you've never been, you're going to have to do something you've never done. Scary, right? No, wrong. It's an adventure. You know what's really scary? Being trapped in a perpetual cycle of unhappiness, of content. Looking in the mirror each and every day, not liking the man or woman you see staring back at you. Don't live your life like that. At any time you can change your circumstances, because every circumstance is neutral, pioneers, but your emotions are not. Every circumstance gives you the ability to change your life, your reality. You have the power to do and be anything you want. You just have to be willing to do things differently than others. Be willing to do things differently than you have done before. You have to be willing, you need to be willing to take risk and be daring. Stepping out of that safe zone and stepping on the edge of a cliff. Jumping off the edge and just being free. If you're never doing what you've never done, then you're never giving yourself the power and ability to become what you've always been meant to be. Is it going to be easy? Probably not, pioneers, but if you want to change your life, your reality, your circumstances, your outcome, then you have to be willing to do what not too many people are doing. What's not easy. Most people are going to choose the easy road when they even know it's not the right road to go. You have to take the path less traveled. Real greatness isn't determined by a bloodline or a birthright or some fate. It's determined by what you do with the hand that you're dealt. Don't fold that hand. The true secret of success is accepting the truth that the only path is the path of hard work and consistent productivity. See, you're only going to get where you want to go, to your outcome, when you follow just some simple rules. Show up and show out. Work hard and never quit. Never back down, and ask questions along the way. Do you want to just coast and cruise control through life without feeling the potential that you have that lies within you? Do you really want to be complacent and waking up one day realizing that all the dreams that you had passed you by? You see, we all have data, pioneers. Dreams are tangible aspirations. That's what data stands for. We all have dreams that are tangible. And we all have passions about things that we want to accomplish. We all want to be great. Nobody wakes up every day wanting to be a fucking slime ball, disrespecting others, talking shit about others. They just do it. Because it's what other people do. You can live your life to the fullest, and you can be hated for it, for wanting to better others, for trying to teach and enlighten others. But if you're okay with your actions and your behavior, you're content. Because you're loved and adored by others, and that's all that matters. But if you're not okay with your life, you're going to walk around waking up every day, going to your jobs, judging others. Walking around with emptiness, going to bed in a lack mindset. At the end of the day, though, if you could look yourself in the mirror and be content with the choices you make, then that's all that matters. Believing in everything that you are and understanding that within you is something greater than anything you'll ever face, it allows you to have faith in your power and your abilities, to continue to work hard and never back down or give up. There's nothing you can't accomplish. The key is to just be you. With the right amount of confidence and the right amount of due diligence and dedication, anything is possible. No matter what you set out to do, no matter what you set your mind to do, your first action should be, I am, and I can, and I believe in me. The most important mindset to keep, because the most important person to believe in is always going to be yourself. Because what you believe in your hearts and speak in your minds will eventually become your words and your reality. And what you repeatedly do gets ingrained in your subconscious mindset. And what gets ingrained in your subconscious mindset becomes an unconscious action and an unconscious activity. And I've always just wanted mine to be helpful and guideful and nurturing to others. So I'm sending you all much love and high vibrations out to wherever you are in this matrix and galaxy right now. We know it's been a quite eventful past few weeks for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And today I'll be discussing in what we'll consider to be a bottom video and episode, and focusing on the bottom. What we need to do and keep in our mindset when having this conversation and discussion is we want to be very open-minded. A bottom's just not one day and then we're done. It could be a multi-day or multi-month or week event to where we see a bottom in structure, something we'll be discussing today. But we want to be calm, cool, and collective and keep our emotions on the sideline. We want to analyze the data we have from the past, recognize the patterns in the charts, and then go from there to consider where our bottom is. I myself, as a long-term accumulator or investor, have a much different outlook and investment thesis and mindset than most people that hold cryptocurrencies or stocks, etc. Most of your retail, unsophisticated leveraged traders. My mindset here on the Daily Candle Close News is built different. We're cut from a different cloth. And that's solely because I have done the research and now now I understand so I can understand and am able to truly know what investing is. And investing is an emotional game of not just bull markets and bear markets, of just tops and bottoms, but it's actually a game of doing the exact opposite of what the retail unsophisticated market participant is doing at the time. Instead, I pay attention to what these apex predators and world elected leaders or non-elected leaders are doing with their money, not with what they're saying and telling the people on the world stage. So very important. So even though this episode is dedicated to the bottom, that's just an idea, a strategy for us to be educated on. It's not in any way me saying that our bottom is already in, that came in right here as we got ready to head into Father's Day on the 19th and the 18th when we fell to 17 and 18K. That's not me saying that our bottom is already in. It's just, again, us talking about an idea that we can wrap our heads around. For those of you that are veterans in this space, to watch the intensity of this moment that recently came in the price charts, bringing the markets down, it might have been, nothing new to you under the sun. But for someone that's just getting involved in these markets, seeing their first real pullback, it could have been very discouraging, and it could have really shooken out some weak hands. But pioneers are stronger than ever here, both mentally and investment-wise. All the weak-minded retail investors that we had here in the Academy and Pioneer University, they're pretty much gone. And we're really left with the uncommon 1% true retail investor that's actually paying attention to what's happening, the big picture and the long-term outlook of these markets. They understand that this market is an investment tool that's designed to take money from the impatient hands and distribute that money to the patient hands. So just be patient. Crypto isn't a get-rich overnight quick scheme like a lot of people in the Twitter crypto space or on YouTube want you to believe. We in this community have been killing it lately when it comes to the mindset that we're building here. And that's so inspiring to see people helping others and encouraging others. The most important thing moving forward is that right there. And that's what my channel has truly always been about. So if we take a look at prior cycles and we look at the weekly time frame and we just go back in the past, and if we zoom out, we see that, nothing new under the sun. Okay, we can consolidate to this being a double top, very bearish M pattern right now that's brought us all the way back down into what people consider this duality mindset of a bear market. But if we take prior cycles in the past and we consider them from top to bottoms, we see that it's roughly, a 12 to 13 month time period, which is truly a 13 lunar cycles time period that we could pay attention to by using the moon indicators, paying attention to true 13 lunar cycles, determining from our tops to our bottoms, something we can discuss more moving forward. But when it comes to these time frames, we can consider, if we go back to April of 2021, that we're falling pretty much smack dab right in the middle of one of these time periods. So very important that we can consider this as an indicator and potential possibility for a bottoming in structure. When we look at the weekly RSI for Bitcoin hitting levels that have never been reached before, it's very impulsive to me to see that this is a bottoming coming in structure. Just a very important indicator that we can pay attention to on a weekly time frame, setting its lowest low that we have ever seen for 13 going on 14 years now. The same thing with things like XRP. When we look at that on the weekly time frame, when we look at XRP on the weekly time frame, we can again see that this moment in the cryptocurrency market is very bearish for a lot of cryptocurrencies that have real use case, real fundamentals, and real world solve that are going to be projects that last through regulation and into the future. We're seeing just a healthy pullback into an underbought, oversold territory for a lot of these cryptocurrencies, places we've never seen. Weekly Ethereum, weekly lows on the RSI that we've never seen before. So all of this that we need to take into consideration, with it also being about a 13-month true lunar cycles time period right here, roughly, heading into 420 days. Very important. That's the 4th of July. So we'll have to pay attention to that time period and what could be happening? Could we see a relief in structure and a trend reversal? We know on the weekly time frame for altcoins like Ethereum, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 weekly consecutive closes to the downside, coming in red in the structure. And here on the Daily Candle Close News, we follow things like gematria and numerology, and we know Ethereum is highly tied to this 11. When we look at 121 right here, we know it's the square root of 11, and we just came out of 11 weekly downtrends and sell-offs for this altcoin, taking us back through a year-long horizontal support. So very important that we came back down here and retested ranges that we haven't been in since December of 2020, retesting our previous bull market highs. So very important that we hold this area of structure. We came all the way back down to pretty much retest our April 30th relief rally top that came in 2018, that sent us in to even lower low in the bear market. So very important that we pay attention to that. What could be coming in this time frame? A potential another A, B, C pattern with another relief rally in the near distant future, heading into October, September, before we possibly get another pullback and even lower low in the structure, taking us down to 500, 300. Who knows? Only time will tell. Just using this as a consideration and clearly an example moving forward for some cryptos and altcoins. We know Ethereum is going to affect other altcoins as it moves. If it was to continue to just sell off down into these lower ranges, we could possibly see a lot of these cryptocurrencies that are tied to Ethereum just absolutely go to zero. So every circumstance, like I said earlier, is neutral, pioneers, but your emotions are not. We can not only make money in this market on the way up, but we can make money on the way down as well, knowing how to trade and invest in these markets. So very important. Let's take this back to the daily time frame and consider to look at this just closely at some of the charts we've been paying attention to. Right here on June 23rd, the 174th day of the year, anybody that knows Manly P. Hall, they understand the research behind this number 174. It is highly tied to this Lucifer character. So go and study Professor Manly P. Hall and look into some of his work. But when we saw June 23rd, a day that was, when we look at it, we see it was 3 months and 3 days away from the end of the Shemitah and the new Rosh Hashanah that starts the Jewish Hebrew New Year of 5783 coming up this September, a date we're paying attention to. We know that this is a 95-day time period, or 3 months and 3 days. But when we saw this price action on this day coming in the price charts for Bitcoin, we saw that it was up $1,122, 1122. 11 plus 22 is 33. So we see this very exo and esoteric, hidden in plain sight price action, 5.6% up. We know how important that 56 number is. It ties us into Washington, D.C., or mind control, or tree of life, Eye of Horus. Some very, very important things when we break it down with gematria and numerology. But most importantly, we saw that this day that was 3 months and 3 days away from the end of the Shemitah, we saw Bitcoin move up $1,122, which gives us ultimately 11 plus 22 is the 33, tying us into the 3 month, 3 day connection that we saw this day was a time period, a 95-day time period to the end of the Shemitah. Something I just wanted to bring out and again just add consistent showing to how this code works when we compare it to the price charts. We know we've sold off into this range where we thought we could potentially get down to this 100 or $17,200, $17,100 range. We didn't quite get there. We came to a low of 17.5, 17.6. So very important. We're still since then have seen a bounce in structure. Obviously, we know the RSI on the daily time frame was completely overbought and undersold, or completely underbought and oversold, matching pretty much lows of January, our first low that we saw in the structure this year, that ended up leading to this downtrend when we ended up falling out of this horizontal bear pennant, bull flag, whatever you wanted to call it. We were just holding this trend line for multiple years until we fell below it on a very ritualistic liquidation time period on May 5th. 5-5. Again, for Bitcoin, that's going to be tying us into the creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. There's Ethereum, paying attention to that 95 right there. June 23rd was a 95-day time period. We were just talking about it. It ultimately ties us back into Neptune, you guys, which is, giving us that 95, something I'll bring up real quick. But again, Satoshi Nakamoto giving us that 55. So why did Bitcoin sell off out of this, bull pennant, very bullish pattern? Why did we sell off this year on May 5th, 5-5? Obviously, it was very liquidated into an ABC corrective pattern all the way back down to 17K as we headed into Father's Day. So that's something I shared with you all recently. For those that are new, we know that Father's Day gave us the 107, and we sold off on the 18th, the transition day into Father's Day, down to 17K, giving us that 55, you guys. So all very exo and esoteric, paying attention to the code and using it in advance. We were able to see a lot of this time period play out. Again, this 34 we get in Father's Day, we're in the 7-year sabbatical cycle, and you see right here, 3 plus 4, it breaks down to 7. Okay, why did Steph Curry score 34 points in your NBA Finals championship game? Because 3 plus 4 is 7, all during the 7-year sabbatical cycle. It's all about the 7, something we've been sharing with you for quite some time. Another connection right here to even elaborate on that Steph Curry part even further. Something I told you all to pay attention to was this blue and yellow. This is alchemy that we're watching play out on the world stage, giving us that 41, which is the 13th prime number. We're in the 13-year anniversary of Bitcoin. All very important. This 13 bloodlines, it's all tied in here. So very eso and exoteric, this blue and yellow. When we type out blue and yellow, we're getting this 51 that we've talked about all year long. Very important. Something that, it takes a veteran to understand what we're discussing here, to truly make these connections, allow them to be eye-opening. So it's not only my goal to come out here and teach you how to view this market from the long term, but also to keep you grounded mentally. Remember to not allow crypto or your investments to control you in any way. It's easy to be an influencer, pioneers, but it's hard to become a leader. Promise me. I promise you that. So promise me you'll keep this in your mind. You need to tap into your leadership skills. Become the author of your own reality and write your success. Okay? Develop the skill and the craft that's going to get you to your outcome. I've told you all before, I speak only to those with ears to hear, not eyes to see the work we're doing here. I speak to the ears of leadership so that maybe someday you, the student, can become the teacher. Can I get a hello? I do not speak to the ears of consumers or followers, and I have chosen to be an architect and an alchemist of my life, not a test subject. I'm not here to be used as an energy source for someone else's dreams to be made true. I am here to fulfill my own dreams and to help other people fulfill their dreams as well. So another challenge I'm giving to all my pioneers this year is called the Sustainable Summer. This summer, what I mean by that is sustain the pioneer mindset. Sustain the due diligence and dedication that we're putting into ourselves here. Sustain that high level Christ consciousness mindset. Sustain the feelings you felt when these markets were up. Sustain that feeling that you get when you talk to that special girl at work. Can I get a hello? Because if we can sustain this high frequency mindset that we are teaching here, then we're gonna win. Being able to sustain large corrections and collapses in not just these markets but our lives and our relationships, that's what determines and makes a pioneer. You see, a caterpillar thinks it's the end when it goes into a cocoon, and then a butterfly emerges. You're the caterpillar that's got to go in the cocoon, that goes through a metamorphosis to come out a bigger, brighter, better you. So just start cocooning, baby. Start hardening and transitioning into being who you've always been meant to be. We're gods and goddesses with amnesia, and it's time we remember that. The biggest mistake I see people making when it comes to crypto is people place value in something external, like the markets. They have extreme reactions when we see these price actions take place, whether it's to the upside or the downside. We know they get euphoric when the market's completely overbought and overheld, and they get completely fudded and feared out of this market, panic selling market bottoms when we see liquidation, capitulations, and manipulation events. And if you're someone that's placed value in this market while it was up and at a structure high, like at 69K, well then you're someone that's probably feeling a lot of your energy and frequency start to disappear when we start seeing these markets continue to drain down where they're at right now. Excuse me, let me get a drink. But yeah, you're probably somebody that's losing a lot of frequency and energy and vibrations right now because you placed value in something while it was at the top in its structure. So learning a skill and a craft and how to read and analyze these charts, developing yourself and your investment thesis is how you're going to win. It's those who focus on the solution instead of the problem that's always prevailing and staying ahead of the curve. So if you're unaware and want to become aware as to what we are seeing take place in these markets and the economy, then I urge people to study the dot-com bubble and the 9/11 crisis that we saw in the economy, where we saw gas shoot up like we're seeing now, because we saw it then cause hyperinflation and energy like we're seeing now, which back then is what we saw happen globally like we're seeing now, which then caused food to rise and become scarce, or well, stagflation to it, which is kind of what we're seeing now. This is all a cyclical repeat in nature of events that we have seen happen before. And it's time that we are able to see this and prepare our families for the future of what's to come, because we haven't seen the likes of what's going to happen over the next few years. Even back in 2001, we saw a war narrative pushed like we're seeing now, weapons of mass terror they called it, all during a Shemitah year, like the Shemitah year we're in now, where we see Russia and Ukraine giving us this same conflict, where we'll soon see Taiwan and China be brought into the mix. And they are literally creating a cover story for the next event that we will see take place this year or next. They are doing all of this to get humans in a frequency of fear and stuck in this lack mindset. As to what this event will be, we have, made our speculations and suspicions here. And we just know it's going to be something that's going to cause mass hysteria and just cause people to lose sight of who they truly are. So, regarding bull market and a parabolic move to bring us into a 72K Bitcoin or even higher right now, is completely off the table as of right now. And that's the red pill moving forward. Because what we have seen since our most recent manipulation to the downside and push to the downside is put us into what, like I said earlier, some would call a bear market. And now we are kind of saying this correction continue to unfold. We will see relief, yes, of course, but as to how much and to what extent is the question moving forward. And it'll be short-lived, more than likely, in intervals and, reversals. So I pay close attention to what's going on right now on the world stage. Over the last few days, holding this, very similar event 201 type event and meeting with this monkeypox nonsense that we've seen on the world stage recently. That's something I paid attention to. But bringing in all of this into consideration, being now in what again some considered a bear market, we're going to pay attention to this 12 to 13 month lunar cycle for a potential bottoming in structure, which again is pretty much where we're at right now, seeing a pretty much healthy bounce, bring us closer back up to 22K as we get ready to head into the 26th week of the year. Let's see if we can't push up back closer to this 26K range as we start getting ready to head into Monday Moon Day this year, this next week coming up. So that's going to be very important to pay attention to. We obviously know that that's going to be the 27th, giving us 2 months and 30 days to the end of the Shemitah, and we know that's going to tie us into Bitcoin right here, giving us that 23. So we're going to pay attention to Monday coming up. That's ultimately tying us into Mercury, the goddess of commerce and monetary movement. So giving us that same 23 right there. It's gonna happen on the 27th. Mercury gave us that 103 right here in English ordinal. That's the 27th prime number. So all very important to pay attention to. Again, like I said, this time period has been very similar to the IPOs and .com scandal that we saw take place in 2001, that led into 9/11, all during a Shemitah year, where we saw a lot of companies just go to zero. And I have a feeling that we're about to see thousands of cryptocurrencies just get eradicated and go to zero, and all that liquidity is gonna have to go somewhere, and I know where it's gonna go, and it's gonna go into real use case utility cryptocurrencies. You see, we're on the verge of transitioning into a regulatory time period for cryptocurrencies and it becoming more adopted mainstream and more sophisticated and mature, which is why I believe we were so tricked into getting this double top period for the first time ever, breaking a 4-year cycle and doing a lot of things in the last 6 months that we've never seen Bitcoin do before. Most recently breaking a previous bull market top. We've never seen Bitcoin fall below a bull market top ever in the cycle of cryptocurrencies. Going back 13 years, we've never came back and retested a previous breakout and euphoric blow off top for cryptocurrencies when it came to Bitcoin. We've seen other altcoins, etc. do this, but I think this is very healthy and a much needed pullback moving forward. And it could bring a lot of upside potential for the near distant future over the next few years for cryptocurrency. You see, we're in the stage where they resist it, then they sue it, then they regulate it, and then they join it. Well, we're entering from the sue into the regulation and joining period. So it's about remembering leadership teams and fundamentals behind these investments that we participate in, finding real world solve and great environmentally efficient ISO 20022 compliant coins to put our hard-earned money into. And if you don't understand what I'm saying there, then you really need to do some research when it comes to cryptocurrency, because you don't want to be someone that is yet again in that .com bubble investing in a Lehman Brothers company that goes to zero, just like we saw, with automotive industry and social media, etc., where we saw, MySpace eventually get eradicated and Facebook take over. A lot of things just become absolutely obsolete as we move forward. And we're going to see that with cryptocurrencies as well. So, just like in 2018 when cryptocurrencies went to zero, we're going to see that again. So moving forward, we need to pay attention to the economy. We know we're in an inflating, ever printing economy. They print money to heaven and infinity and beyond, and as long as they keep on printing money, this crypto investment, it's going to rise. The risk assets, and they'll rise over time as we continue to do our due diligence and put our money in projects that are going to be here for the long term. We have to look at this from a holistic perspective. Our life isn't a 4-year cycle. We don't need to get lost in the short term. Our life is, years long, you guys. So look at this with a 10, 20 year view. And if something happens before then, well, then congratulations and capitalize on that. But I just wanted to come out and talk about a potential bottom in the structure that we could see coming in, and just educate you all on what a bottom really is and how it could be a more than 1 day or 1 week time period, and something that we'll have to just continue to let play out over time. If we were to at any point start closing dailies back below 20K or 19K, I would potentially see a potential push back down into these lower ranges, to possibly retest about 16,100, which is, like I brought up in the last video, our golden ratio of phi 161. So definitely keeping an eye of structure being held at this golden ratio of phi, which is taking us all the way back into this December and November Thanksgiving V market recovery that we saw in this sell-off right here for Bitcoin as well, where we fell below this trend line the last time that we did before being bought right back up in, well, what was, a matter of a week's time. This is obviously a lot longer that we've been since May 5th down here, just playing in this area, obviously filling out this ABC corrective wave pattern, and now we're looking for the sub counts that could possibly bring us back up to around this 32,200 range. Every one of my veterans know why that's important. So gonna probably leave this video here. Just want to be educational and informational. Sending you all much love and high vibrations out to wherever you are. Pioneers rise, build your legacy, and build your fortress. Take care, and God bless.